I started as a Templar, and actually I don't think I'll get that. That'll I'll save points. Okay. I started as a Templar, and I'm going to be rolling Pillar of the Cage God, and it's a build that scales a lot off strength. I mean, you could just literally grab every strength node on the tree and call it a day, but I feel like that you can do other stuff just besides grabbing the strength node, so I kind of want to go over a little bit of what I decided to try doing. I know a lot of the Cage God builds grab Resolute Technique, and it's actually really good. I'm just silly and I didn't grab it, but if you want a good DPS increase and you don't really want to worry about accuracy, it's actually a really good point. I decided I'm actually going to go for accuracy nodes. The dex on these nodes is actually still good for the build too, because you get 1% attack speed per 10 dex, so that's why I grabbed these two nodes. So that's still like 4% attack speed and then 10% accuracy, which is okay. But then when you come down here, this one too gives like 1% AoE and then 2% attack speed and 20% accuracy, and I was going to get all that and this. So that's how I decided I'm going to fight, like not grabbing Resolute Technique, but if that doesn't work out, I'll probably just cave in and grab it. Right now the build is running on 232 increased maximum life. I try to grab every one of the nodes that have the strength coupled to it that are close to the Templar. So there's, you know, the Holy Strength, Athleticism, and then there's one in here somewhere, I think. Or not, I'm just making stuff up. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. And this would shave some points too. And, yeah, the reason why I came in here to grab this node's kind of inefficient for us, but when you grab this node, it makes it a little better. I mean, that's almost, it's 14% armor per node, and then 4% auras per node, so that's still pretty efficient for the most part. And getting these strength nodes on the outside, each strength node for this build basically is 16% increased damage, and that's just these small strength nodes. So that's why even as a two-hander, I'm grabbing this, because this is really like 32% increased damage with the Cage God. And I guess the best way of explaining it to you is just bringing up the item itself. So I'll actually do that for you really quick. And it's a really cheap item at the moment, and it'll probably remain pretty cheap for a while, unless somebody ends up making a build that is super useful late game and probably evasion, then it'll probably get copied, but that's what happened once and it actually did go up in price. But this is the staff right here. It actually doesn't look that like intimidating at first. I mean, you're looking at it and it's just a staff with 20 to 33 physical damage, and then it has, you know, chance to block and just some random stats on it that don't really make a lot of sense at first, especially if you're newer at the game. But like, this is why, like, the 10 strength per, I mean 16% increased physical damage per 10 strength actually ends up scaling really high, especially because your rings and your amulets all can have flat physical damage on them. And then if you get something crazy like a Meganords or Abyssus, which I don't plan on getting Abyssus for this because this character is actually in Invasion, so that would just kill him. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could try it in softcore, and your damage would probably be crazy. But yeah, and that's the other thing, is like the different stats in the game aren't bad for this build. So it's like Dex gives attack speed, gives you accuracy, gives you evasion rating, and then the int gives you mana, gives you area effect. It doesn't scale as well as the other two, but it still scales, which is really, and the quality actually does quite a bit for it, because this top end ends up becoming 40, and this is we'll take a look at it in a second in game. But yeah, it's something to think about. So that's why on here, even on these notes that have one-handed melee weapon damage, this 10%, I mean this 20 strength, ends up being 32% damage for me. Or this note right here ends up just being crazy. That ends up being 50% damage. So, and then if you stack all that up and consider the flat physical from your rings, which scales from all this damage from the Pillar of the Cage God, and then you scale based off your gems too, it ends up being quite a bit of damage. So that's why I end up getting a lot of these strength nodes, and the ones that don't make as much sense. I didn't grab this one because, I mean, it could still be kind of efficient, but I don't know if I would go that deep, because you could just get 2 strength nodes. Like, I could just do this, and it would be just as efficient as grabbing that, so it's not really worth it for me. Going in here, though, is probably the best, because there's strength littered throughout all these points. So there's strength here, there's strength here, there's 20 strength here. So I mean, throughout all these nodes, just strength everywhere, and this one has dex and in. So this part right here is probably like the jackpot for this build. So going Marauder is actually really effective. The only reason why I went Templar is because I wanted to get this increased AoE fairly early, and getting this mana regen without going through this elemental weapon stuff is kind of good too, because you'll be a little harder on mana, and being able to get to this is really nice too. So I mean, you end up gaining a lot of resist too, naturally. That's what I want to do, is to get some resist on the tree. The main reason being is I want to be able to get gear that has flat physical and health on it, and worry less about resistance, because at least at first, maybe later, I'll spec out of these as my gear gets better and as I can afford more expensive gear, basically. But if you get gear with less resistances on it, it's going to be a lot cheaper. So that's why I decided I'm going to get resist on my tree for this build, because I want to be able to stack flat physical and health and not have to worry as much about my resistances. I still have to worry about it. Like, this isn't like a fix-all at all. So don't, if you end up trying this for some reason, if you grab these resists, they're not going to be enough. You're still going to have to grab more. Then I get a lot of increased armor and life on this build too, because it's by a lot of that, and it ends up having over 200% armor at the end, which is pretty good, because you're not going to have a shield, and I'm running determination, but I'll still have evasion because I'm not getting iron reflexes. So, but with that, all that increased armor, like, your chest piece is just going to give you insane amount of durability. So if you just get a large, like, chest piece, you're going to be golden. I stray away from staff nodes except for this cluster here. The reason why I get this cluster is because it provides staff block, and I felt like that's pretty good for the survivability of this character. Otherwise, the other staff nodes are just not really good for this build, because that right there, that's only 12% physical damage with staves. This strength node right next to it, that's 16%, plus the strength bonus. So that's 16% just based off the staff. So, like, basically each of these nodes is actually what, 21%. So it ends up adding up really fast. And yeah, so I mean, it's not like super complex or anything. You're basically just trying to grab as much strength as you can get, and stay away from the stuff that might look a little good at first. Like, grabbing some of this stuff might look good, but the points you have to invest to grab this, you could have just got 3 strength nodes and got way more damage. So it's something to think about. I really wanted to try to get up here to Berserking to get a lot more attack speed, because the dex attack speed actually doesn't scale as hard as the strength. I wanted to get as much regen as I could get on the tree, that I could get on this side, without having to, like, spend way too many points. I didn't really want to come all the way down here to get Shaper, but I mean, I guess I could have. There's a bunch of strength in the way, so if you want more regen, you can grab Shaper. If you want more all resist, you feel like you're lacking, I mean, you could do this too. I mean, there's a bunch of strength in the way. I probably wouldn't do this one because you're not really close to anything. Unless you grab Berserking, then maybe taking those extra 3 points to grab that would actually be useful for you. But the reason why I opt out of that and decide to go this route into the duelist tree is because I did want to try to do this. And right now I could probably afford it. But I mean, I like to build it until like level 80, but since this is level 84, that's still really doable for me at least. And yeah, so, and you get a lot of armor here, and then this right here is really big. It gives you a lot more range with your ability, gives you a lot more damage with your ability, and not only that, like just where it splits off, like you can get a little bit more mana regen if you need it. You can get attack speed. This actually grants a lot of attack speed. It's 14% with this build. So I mean, yeah, it's just really a build that it's all about stats, which is a bit, little bit different because you end up straying away from the weapon nodes and going more for just pure strength. So yeah, this is the basics of the build so far, and so far it's working pretty well in theory. This is not the correct character. I want to actually go to the character I have on Invasion. He's still alive, kicking. I just started him tonight. Played, it isn't too high so far. It's almost kind of 6 hours, but I mean, we were just kind of dicking around for most of the night. Like, we did probably 30 ledge runs for no reason. We over leveled ledge so hard. It just, but we were just dicking around and stuff. So, but I don't have hatred on this character, but with hatred, my damage is actually super. It's pretty good for at least my level, I feel like. I mean, this, if you go to ledge right now, or if you go to somewhere in Act 1 that's around my level, this is actually pretty, it works for where I'm at. But as I get better gear, this number is going to get a lot better. And this is only 3 linked at the moment. It doesn't have a lot of links. And because the AoE, that's going to get bigger too from like my stats too. Right now I have 6% increase AoE. So that's 26%, and that's only going to get bigger. As far as gear goes, this is what I'm talking about with flat physical. See where it says 6 to 11 physical damage? That's how you're going to scale a lot of your damage the best, is off that stuff. And like if I take this off right now and show you, I pretty much lost almost, how much DPS? About 150 DPS. So I mean, and that's, I can get even better ring than that, and then this amulet's not the best at the moment either. Ooh. I guess there's oh god, ripping in the video. But like I said, this character's not fully built or anything. He still needs a lot more improvements. I'm still wearing blue gear in some spots, and all my, like, I should get better gloves. This belt's not really optimal. Like, none of this gear's really optimal. It's okay for resist right now, but I mean, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you're looking for, and basically just stuff with strength and flat physical, and then you need to cap your resist, but after that you don't have to worry as much about it, because all your damage ends up coming from your stats. So if you want to know more about the build, or if you decide you have some questions about it, just let me know. Right now I have added fire, ground slam, and weapon physical with my ground slam, and then my glacial hammer has weapon elemental damage and glacial hammer, and that has a decent DPS on it too. And a lot of these gems, it's kind of just what I have at the moment, because we just started. I at least just started an Invasion. A couple of the friends I've been playing with, one of them, he's had characters on here, and he had a little bit of a start, and that's why we could start with Pillar of the Cage Gods. They're really cheap though. Like, I could have still got it even when I was by myself. I had a GCP before I was level 13, and I could have bought one with that. So it's a fairly cheap build. You end up getting your endgame weapon at level 1. I mean, basically level 1. It's level 13. Just to show you. So I mean, it's a really cheap build that you can just scale all the way to endgame with. So if you're newer to the game, it might be a really fun build for you, and it's a little different from the meta right now. So yeah, if you like this video and you want to watch more, just let me know. And I continue to stream every night, and it's been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate the viewers that have had come in and spend time with me. And thank you for watching.